Okay, hi everyone. It's Catherine Summerall Griego with Real Estate with Catherine at Keller Williams Realty, and it is time for the 2M series, which has been our weekly real estate reporting. So this is actually going to be played via a recording. Facebook and Zoom are not liking each other at the moment. So for those that do have questions, feel free to comment on this video. I'm happy to help address those next week or on an individual basis. And if you're watching this, comment like #replay, let me know that this is a valuable series to you guys as community members. Staying informed on the real estate market is certainly an important initiative. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen and we will we'll talk about what's happening this past week. Overall, I'm really excited to share with you what these numbers are looking like. They just a lot of really good things happening in real estate over the past week, and I'll show that to you guys now. Okay, so again, Catherine Summerall, Real Estate with Catherine at Keller Williams Realty. This is the 2M series. For those that don't know me, I have been a top producing agent in the Durango market now for 7 years, so going on almost 8 years. And I've had the opportunity to serve over 130 families through my vocation, which is real estate. And the purpose of this is to provide perspective relative to the real estate market year over year, week over week, as we navigate what are the effects of COVID-19 locally in our real estate market. So let's look at these graphs that we've been trending over the past several weeks, and it's been great to see this data as we have matured in time to really start being able to see some visual tracking or visual storytelling of what's going on. So in the red here is 2020, and in the blue is 2019. And so this is new listings overall in the Durango marketplace. If you have a Durango address, it's included in this snapshot. And you guys, I was just really happy to see over this past 7-day rolling period, we are tracking the 2019 trends, though we still, you still see a little bit of a gap here. The general trend line is the same. Excuse me. And so we had, 31 new listings over this past 7 days, which the week prior, you can see here, was just about 15. So we doubled that this past week, which I thought is awesome. Listings is the fluidity of a marketplace. Listings are vital to help manage supply and demand, which is ultimately what a real estate market is. It's simply supply and demand. So pendings represent the demand of the marketplace. Durango pendings year over year during this time frame. Gosh, look, we saw just a big increase in pending activity, which I think is fantastic. We had maybe seen a little bit of a lull, and I would say that we're starting to see that tick up a little bit. Now, respective to the conversation that we had with mortgage this week on the conversation series, we may, we're tracking this data in as best real time as possible. And as these pressures of the market relative to mortgage and credit, the availability to get financing, we may start to see that impact the pending activity. But yet right this past week, again, just really encouraging confidence that real estate is moving, and we certainly saw that this past week. So the sold listings count, we've stabled. We're seeing to be we're not seeing the ups and down as much as that on the sold numbers. And again, solds are reflective of pending activity in weeks past. The typical escrow is about 30 to 45 days. So we're certainly starting to see what was pending activity over here. We're starting to see that come into fruition as far as a closing on this past week. So units as far as closings are down year over year. In town new listings, again, really started to see an uptick over this past several weeks here. If you are considering selling an in-town property, certainly now is the time to do that. You are starting to see more listings come on the market, which as a seller means a little bit more competition, pending your price point that you're working within. So overall, still a very, very positive statistic here, or graph that shows that our listing inventory is increasing in the in-town market as well. Durango in-town pendings. So we saw a pretty dramatic quote unquote increase from the previous week. So we had 7 properties penned, and the previous week was 2 in town. So definitely saw proportionally some big jump in activity there for in town pendings. And again, a pending is when a buyer and a seller come to an agreement. In town sold numbers were a little bit down. Again, this is it's up and down relative to tracking the pending activity 30 to 45 days prior. Durango rural market. So same premise, we saw a big increase in new inventory. We had about 20 new listings in the Durango rural market come online. Again, this is a very positive thing. We need the inventory to manage supply and demand, keep fluidity of the marketplace, and have product for people out there to choose from. So really positive thing there. And look at the pending activity in the Durango the Durango rural market. You saw pending, jump up dramatically last week as well. So really excited to share these numbers with you. If you're in the market to buy a home, now is the time. If you're in the market to sell a home, now is the time. There's certainly activity going on out there, and it is important to keep in mind that as you evaluate your own goals and your own product and your own situation, different price points may be acting differently, yet these are really the overall high level picture to encourage you to engage in those conversations with your local real estate team. Durango rural sold, there's the sold numbers there. About 6 sold here this last week. Okay, so the big thing that I focus on is perspective, and I think it's important to look at not only week over week, but how were things operating maybe years past, to give us again some perspective as to what is this normal, is it not? What's the benchmark that we're looking at? And so this is the Durango a year over year type analysis for this same time frame, March 12th through May 6th. The blue is 2018, the red is 2019, and 2020 is in the yellow. So yeah, you can start to see here that obviously, same as last week, we are trending below 2019 figures. And trending more in line maybe with in some categories as in 2018. Yet we've had 73 properties with a Durango address pinned in this time frame, which again, this number isn't 0, you guys. The market's moving. Are we down year over year in comparison? Yes. And the next question is, how can you leverage this situation towards your goals? That's really the next question in the conversation. So in town, you look at same structure of a graph. Blue is 2018, red is 2019, and yellow is 2020. In town Durango market. We're pretty close, almost here to 2018 inventory levels. Inventory, again, I've talked about this supply and demand. The more supply we have, the potential softness of pricing in the market. So inventory really is an important aspect of supply and demand. You can start to see that we've had how we're trending on pending activity or the demand of in-town markets. Of course, we are down proportionally over both 2018 and 2019, and continuing to track this over this period of time moving forward as we see, hey, how much are we increasing that, or how much are we bridging that gap every week. Yeah, it's still you guys I think a positive outlook, yet it's important just to look at units are down year over year. Durango rural totals. So yeah, I think that inventory is trending closer to 2018 as far as new listings coming on the market. You have a pretty substantial differential there in number of homes sold. So what that may also start to look like is, depending on your price point, you may start to see longer days in the market, which is likely the case because simply the buyer pool has diminished. Now, one caveat that I want to talk about is this: COVID isn't the answer or isn't the reason why we start to see these numbers. It's a factor of the conversation. And it's just important to I think, keep in mind that it's a part of the conversation. It's not the real estate is a multifaceted marketplace, and many factors economically, locally, supply, demand, interest rates, all those things start to play into the analysis of these numbers. Yeah, but look at that sold number. We're tracking pretty close to sold activity. So interesting to see that there. Bayfield, again, I've talked about this in weeks past. Bayfield is just ripping and roaring and going. So if you have, a home to sell in Bayfield, if you considered selling, maybe you have an equity position that you could reallocate to something different, or to a larger home, or maybe you want to downsize, et cetera, et cetera. The Bayfield market is moving quite strong. In fact, we're outperforming years past in different in this time frame at least. So pending activities up, listing activities up, and our sold numbers are up. Great to see. So let's look at what happened here as we track the weekly perspective. Last week we had, like I said, 31 new listings come on the market in the Durango real estate market. Anything with a Durango address. The week prior we had 16, so we pretty much doubled that, which is awesome. We had 6 pendings the week prior. We went to 20. You guys, that's just really, it's really great stuff to see. I love seeing that that demand is being realized in our marketplace. So 20 new buyers and sellers that are under contract with one another. And we had 12 sold, so similar on the sold notion. Bayfield, yeah, you saw the same thing. You got 12 new listings, 10 pending, and 3 sold. Durango in town, we had 10 listings. So again, started to see some trajectory here with increase of listing inventory. Your pendings are still a little, still a little bit more variable, but we are starting to see those, I think, increase respective to even the total Durango market, seeing that number of pendings be substantially higher than last week. And then we had 3 in-town properties that have sold. The Durango rural market looks like pretty much the same weekly numbers in their own way here. 20 new listings, 12 under contract, and 6 sold in the Durango rural market. Bayfield, look at that, this was a big outlier here for this past week. I tell you, this last week was really a strong week in real estate. You had 5 new listings, 7 pending, and 1 sold. The Bayfield rural market, you saw 7 new listings, 3 under contract, and 2 sold. And then I jump into the pricing per week. So overall, I think that this was just awesome to see. Let's see, stop share. Okay. Thank you for watching. I think that the message that I wanted to make sure that I communicated to you guys this week was that real estate's moving. I love to see the inventory. If you're considering selling, certainly engage in conversation now. As inventory increases, essentially that's your competition potentially in your segment. So learning how to differentiate yourself from the competition is key. Working with someone that can really help advise you on pricing and market positioning. If that can be me, I'm certainly happy to and honored to engage in that conversation with you and help you make an informed decision respective to your goals. From the buyer side, we had a conversation this week with Andy Roach on mortgage. There is some potential challenges to jump through with mortgage right now, and that's respective to credit score and the availability of credit, or getting the availability of getting a loan. There are workarounds. There is certainly opportunity out there. Credit interest rates, continue to be really low, and to our kind of pulling from memory our conversation, the biggest thing is just starting dialogue with a lender. And if you need those connections or suggestions on who to reach out to, certainly let me know. I'm happy to connect you. For Keller Williams clients, we also have a program called Keller Mortgage. So get with me if you have any questions about that. That's specific for Keller Williams clients, and offers a very competitive, what's called zero-based loan program. So no loan origination fees there. I'm happy to go into, I could keep talking about all the things and available opportunities and products. And if you're interested, reach out, let me know. That I trust this was of value to you today. And yeah, I'm excited to continue to do this week over week and start to see more and more validity as we all navigate COVID and continuing to move our lives forward amongst some of this crazy times. So thank you, and yeah, take care, and I hope you and your family are happy and healthy. All right, see you next week.